Bruchim Aboyim B'Shem Irgun Shir Torah, Moses Boston. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's shir, all the men here in the main shul, all the women upstairs and downstairs, and everyone tuning in through the phone system and watching through the live broadcast. Bruchim Aboyim. Tonight I'd like to give a big yeshikayach to Rabbi Chaim Meisels for sponsoring tonight's shir, Lili Nishmas Oviv, Rabbi Yaakov Ha'eber and Mordechai Tzvi Alevi. Olav Hashem says tonight, Chof Ches Ov. Boisa Irgun Shir Torah's dinner is coming up this coming Wednesday. Perfect time to show you Hakaras HaTov to Irgun Shir Torah, to the Rabbanim Mushirim we've enjoyed. Irgun Shir Torah relies on the support of the Tzibur to bring these programs to you in the community. Call Irgun Shir Torah at 718-851-8651 or email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com to have this great schus of Abotzes Torah D'Rabim. Tonight we have the cover to have with us once again Rabbi Friedman, renowned speaker on the topic of one idea that answers all the questions. My cover to calling Rabbi Friedman for tonight's drasha.
That's good. That's good. So when you have a question and you get an answer, either the answer is better than the question or the question is better than the answer, depends. But if every question has to have a separate answer, the answer is not so convincing. But when you have one mahalach, when you have one concept that explains many things, that sounds like emes. So tonight's idea is to find one concept that explains many things. For example, if we look at Jewish history, other great nations came and disappeared, and we're still here. So of course you can say it's a nes, atem hadveikim b'Hashem Elokeichem, and therefore chayim kulchem hayem. But what is the secret? That's a historical question. A more personal question: what is the maila of anivus? The Rambam says that in everything you have to be moderate, but when it comes to anivus, you have to be shval ruach ma'id ma'id. There's no reasonable degree. You have to be extremely shval ruach. What is the maila of this? Mo'onu mechayenu machazdeinu matzikenu. This is depressing. What happened to Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha? So what is the maila, what is the benefit of this kind of anivus? Befrat an Yom Kippur. We keep saying, Mo eneish ki sizkirenu, and we keep saying, what are we, like a kachalem yoel? And for this you want forgiveness? If you're not worth anything, why should you be forgiven? We should do the opposite. Claim to be useful for something. Maybe you deserve to be forgiven. A more psychological question: what makes people depressed? You get into a bad mood and you become heavy and you can't move and you can't answer a telephone. What is that? What is that? What is the definition of death? An interesting thing. The Medrash says, Vayikrevu yemei Yankev Lomos, or Vayikrevu yemei David Lomos. If you translate it literally, it sounds like the days die. So the Medrash says, Hayomim Mesim, the days die? The Gemara says yes. Tzadikim einam mesim, tzadikim don't die, the days die. What does this mean? A final question, although there are many more. Why do we keep asking, why do people bother asking, what is the purpose of life? Why are we here? If you've been somewhere in the same place for 5,000 years, what is the question? Why do we have that question? Why are we here? We've always been here. This is the place. What's the question? Why are we here? What is the question? What is the purpose of life? See, when you ask for a purpose, you're implying that the thing itself is not justified. If it has a good purpose, okay. So life is not good enough, it has to have a purpose. There's something depressing about that also, no? And then the nusach. Shehechiyonu v'kimonu v'higiyonu. Shehechiyonu gave us life, v'kimonu and kept us in existence. Shouldn't kimonu come before hechiyonu? Or in Meidani, melech chai v'kayom. Shouldn't kayom come first? First you have to be. Then you have a life. One answer to all the questions. The answer is like this. In creating the world, the Eibishter had to produce two things. Nothing existed, because everything was created from nothing. Yesh me'ayin. So the first thing, God created existence. He made things exist that didn't exist. And then he gave each thing a life. So there's kiyum and there's chayus. What is the definition of kiyum? What does it mean that something exists? It is. This is. What do you mean it is? Before you describe what it is and what it looks like and what it does, the fact that it is, what is that? So the definition of existing, of kiyum, is that it takes up space. It's teifus mokim. A thing that doesn't take up space does not exist. Not in this world. What does it mean to take up space? It doesn't allow another in the same space. So one stone doesn't allow another stone in the same place. A sefer on the shelf doesn't allow another sefer in the same space. Air doesn't allow other air into the same space. This is true of everything. Fire occupies its space. Water occupies its space. A stone occupies its space. Even a machshava, a thought in your head, takes up space. And that's why you can't have two thoughts at the same time. An emotion takes up space. The heart is full. So everything exists by the same definition. It's teifus mokim. Life does not take up space. Life means the effect that this existence causes around itself, the contribution that it makes. So fire exists by taking up space, but its life is that it gives light, it gives warmth, makes things come apart. That's the life of fire. Water exists by taking up space, But what is the life of water? Makes things grow, keeps things cool, makes things stick together. So in existing, everything is the same. In life, you have different. When it comes to a human being, we have existence and we have life. We exist and we live. But for the human being, more than most other creatures, existence not only means taking up space, it also means using up resources. Because in order to exist, there are conditions. To exist, you have to eat. To exist, you have to drink. To exist, you have to sleep. To exist, you need protection from the cold, from the hot. So existing is not only a little embarrassing, because what do? You take up space. This is something to be proud of. And what does it mean to take up space? It's my chair, it's my seat, it's my place. It's so childish. Cain and Hevel couldn't get along. There wasn't enough space. Whose planet is this? Mine or yours? It can't be both. So besides being a little bit embarrassing and depressing, existence is also a burden. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to have a place, you have to have security, you have to have a support system. You need. And then when you have everything you need, what have you accomplished? That tomorrow you'll need it all over again. Life, on the other hand, is the opposite. Life lifts you up. Life carries you. It doesn't make demands. There are no conditions for life. Because life means, what are you doing to make things better? What contribution are you making? How can you be helpful to the world around you by being in existence? So, Lamoshel, you give $1 to tzedakah. What is $1 good for? Existing. It can buy you some food. You take $1 that is good for your existence, and you give it to somebody else who needs it to make their existence a little easier. Now you have life. Now you are alive. Tzedakah tatzil mimaves. Without the tzedakah, you have no life. You give tzedakah, you're alive. And the same is true with kibud av v'em. Kibud av v'em means you do little tasks. You carry their bags, you serve them the food. What is that? You're making their existence a little easier by giving up some of your comfort. So what happens? Kabed es avicha ve'es imecha leman yarichan yamecha. Then you are alive. Problem is that sometimes what is good for my existence, what helps me exist, is not so good for my life. And what's good for my life is not so good for my existence. For example, getting married. When you get married, your existence is reduced to at least half, if not more. It's not your own space. You can't eat whenever, whatever. Every part of your existence is affected by the marriage. So why do you get married if it's devastating to your existence? Because in exchange, you have a life. So I think in the Tnoim or in the Ksuba, it should say something about that. It should say, pleni Pliny ben Pliny agreed with Pliny's boss Pliny's that together they're going to ruin each other's existence, but have a life. Because we forget. A guy gets married, and 3 weeks later he's complaining that he feels a little bit cramped. He needs a little more room. He needs a little more freedom. He didn't realize what he was doing. Marriage means give up existence in exchange for life. So whenever there is a conflict between existing and living, naturally, sensibly, you give up the existence. You don't compromise your life. Even Eretz Yisrael. In 48, they came to the world and they said, we need a place. We have no place. So they said, you're right. Here's a place. Now they're saying, why can't you share your space? Other people need space. Share. Everybody points to Israel. Why can't you compromise? Why can't you share a little bit? Why can't you have 2 states? There's enough space. See, that was a mistake. Eretz Yisrael is not the space. It's not our existence. It's our life. If we had come to the world and said, listen, we have to, our life, our cradle, our birthplace, our incubator, our life, nobody would ask you to compromise your life. But we called it a space. No, a space you can share. So you see, we have to be careful to make the distinction between living and existing. Another painful example. A teenager, all teenagers, are frustrated and angry. Why? About what? So if you ask these angry teenagers, who get away with everything and get whatever they want if they nudge you long enough, what could they possibly be angry about? So if you ask them, they'll tell you. They're angry because their mother ruined their whole life. My mother ruined my life, my whole life. Again, the same mistake. Your mother didn't ruin your life. First of all, you can't ruin life. Life means make a contribution. How can you ruin that? You can ruin existence. Existence can be pretty miserable. Or it can be wonderful. But life can't be ruined. Like salt can't go bad. So it's not true that your mother ruined your life. Can't ruin life. And also, it's not true that your mother ruined your life because you don't have a life. You're a teenager. You barely have an existence because what you call your space is not your space. Like the teenager who says, I'm very angry. My mother walked into my room without permission. Into your room? What, did you pay rent or something? It's not your room. Nothing you have is yours. So even your existence is not yours. Which is, by the way, why you have to honor your parents by helping them in their existence. Because what did your parents give you? Your existence. A life you have to make your own. So now, let's answer all the questions. How is it that we're still here? Everybody else is gone from the ancient peoples? Because they wanted to exist. That's what they wanted. To guarantee permanent existence. So they built big cities and fortified and made big armies and gathered a lot of wealth in order to be able to exist indefinitely. They don't exist. They're gone. What is our history? before we came into Eretz Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu gave us a little heads up. Don't get too comfortable because you're going to get thrown out. And you're going to be scattered all over the world. And you're going to live in other people's countries. And you'll go crazy from what's going to be happening. At night, you won't know what's going to be in the morning. And in the morning, you won't know what's going to be at night. Your existence is going to be terrible. So what should we do? The answer is live. Don't think about existence because you're not going to have a great existence. So be busy with life. That's been our history. If you want to sum up Jewish history in one sentence, for all of our history, we barely existed, but we were very alive. In fact, the worse our existence became, the more alive we became. Kasheyanu Eisom Ken Yifru. In the worst times, we created the biggest yeshivas and the best tzedakah system with the greatest hospitalities, with all the good things that are life. And what about our existence? We barely existed. Even today, which, our existence is much improved, still, if you ask in the United Nations, does there exist a Jewish state? Doesn't exist. But what do they complain about every day? That we are the cause of all the problems, and we don't even exist. That's confusing. Why do we keep asking, what is the purpose of life? What's wrong with living? What do you have to have a purpose? Why do you need to justify your life? Again, the same mistake. The question is misguided. The question is not what's the purpose of life. The question is what is the purpose of existing? I take up space and I use up resources. Can you tell me what justifies that? That has to have a purpose, otherwise it's too embarrassing. So the question is, what is the purpose of existence? That's a good question. It's a question we have to ask. What is our tachlis? Why are we here? It's a good question. So the question is, why do we exist? The answer is, for life. Life is not the question, life is the answer. Now we understand what humility means. What does it mean, anivus? What does it mean, shiflus? It doesn't mean your life is worthless, chas v'shalom. Shah achas in tshuva, ma'asim tevim ba'ilam hazeh is better than anything that Eilam Haba can give. So we never humble life. Existing. You feel proud that you exist. Please, humble it. It's embarrassing and it's depressing. What is depression? To exist is a little bit depressing, just by nature. If you worry about your existence, if you're committed to your own existence, if you fight for more existence, the existence becomes heavier. And eventually, your own existence is too heavy. You can't move, you can't get up. It's become too heavy, too much of a burden. So what does the Torah say? Hashlech al Hashem Yehovcha. Stop worrying about your existence because the Eibishter takes care of it anyway. There's nothing you can do about it. Get busy living, and the existence will take care of itself. Like a doctor in the time of a plague. Everybody gets sick, he doesn't get sick. How come? He has a secret to keep himself healthy while everybody else is getting sick? And not only doesn't he get sick, he doesn't get tired, he doesn't bother eating, he doesn't bother sleeping. Superman. What is that? When you're so alive, when you're so needed, when your contribution is so obvious and so necessary, the existence, you'll eat later, so you'll sleep less. It doesn't matter all of a sudden. The more alive you are, the less you need to invest in your existence. So when we say Melech Chai V'Kayom Shehechiyanu V'Kimanu, in the order of creation, Kiyum comes first. But in the order of importance, first have a life, then your Kiyum is justified. So what is Anivus? Anivus means I don't feel justified taking up space. I don't feel justified using up resources. A person does something useful, he's important, he's having a great effect, he's accomplishing great things. That justifies his existence. So the Rambam says that's not good. Me'ed hevei shval ruach. Even when you are accomplishing a lot, why are you suddenly proud of your existence? So even if you have justification, don't get arrogant about existing. That's silly. So no matter how much you accomplish, a person who is truly an onav, no matter how much he accomplishes, he doesn't feel justified taking up space, using up resources. But you never undermine life. Life is not what's humble. Existence is humble. Now we'll understand what death means. Life can't die. I mean, that's like an obvious reality and truth. Life can't die. Death can't live. They're two mutually exclusive realities. So what does it mean? Somebody was alive and then his life ended. Life doesn't end. Life can't end. What is alive is alive. So what does it mean when a person dies? It means his existence ended. Doesn't take up space, doesn't use up resources. And what about the life? The life lives. The only thing is, if you don't have an existence, then where is your life? Not here, there. Change of address. But life does not end. Life does not die. So everything you accomplished, everything you did, both the good and the not so good, continues. Your relationships, your experiences, your knowledge, your feelings, they all continue to exist. But they're not here, because to be here, you have to have an existence. So what does it mean, hayomim mesim? Your time in space, occupying space. So in practical terms, somebody came to a Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, I think, and he complained that wherever he goes, he said in Yiddish, wherever he goes in the Beis Medrash, tret men af mir. Wherever I go, people are stepping on me. He meant emotionally. So the Tzemach Tzedek said, you spread yourself over the whole Beis Medrash, so wherever anybody steps, it's on you. You're taking up too much space. Don't spread yourself all over the Beis Medrash. Like a person walks into a crowded room, and he's absolutely sure that everybody's talking about him. Either he likes it or he doesn't like it, but he's sure everybody's talking about him. What is the problem? taking up too much space. You're everywhere, so everyone is talking about you. You got to humble it. Don't take up so much space. You're just going to get depressed. So what does it mean when a husband and wife say, we're very happily married, we love each other, but it's so difficult getting along. We love each other, we don't like each other. What is that? They don't like each other because they're making each other's existence uncomfortable, which is unavoidable in marriage. So what is the solution? Stop fighting over existence. Give it away. You'll only get depressed. So existence is meant to be shared, not kept. There are people today who are worth $100 billion. I know he lost $19 billion last week, but he didn't notice. He's worth $100 billion. Can anyone who has that much money really believe, by any stretch of the imagination, that the $100 billion is for him? It's not possible. You don't have to be a tzaddik, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that no one needs $100 billion. Nobody. If you live 1,000 years, you don't need that much money. So it's obvious that it's your money, but it was never meant for you. It can't be that it was meant for you. That helps us understand other things in life. You have knowledge, you have information, it's all meant for you. You have energy, you have compassion, you have love, it's all meant for you. You have love in order to love yourself? This doesn't make sense. That's like a guy who owns $100 billion and he keeps it under the mattress. What are you doing with the money? Nothing, it's my money. So yeah, but what are you doing with it? It's mine, I'm keeping it. It's a shaita. It's not meant to be under your mattress. Do something with it. In the same way, you have love and you love yourself. This is senseless. Your love is not for you, even though it's yours. Your life is not for you. It's your life, but it's not for you. It's to give life, to make life. So we come to a simple conclusion. Ani lo nevresi elo l'shamish eskaini. I was created, which means I exist, only to serve my Creator. That used to sound like a very religious idea. Oh, you're very frum, you're very spiritual. Le nevresi elo l'shamish eskaini. Wow, you must be ultra-Orthodox. No, it's simply a fact of life. If you don't think that you were created to serve your Creator, then you're already a little depressed. And that's why Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha is not an instruction or a demand. It's a promise. Ivdu es Hashem, you'll be b'simcha. Not Ivdu es Hashem, you're already depressed. If you're not focused on life, you're focused on your existence, you're already miserable. Either too arrogant or too depressed. You're miserable. So the statement has two parts to it. Ani lo nivresi elo l'shamesh eskaini. It sounds like this. I, from my part, lo nivresi, leave me alone. Don't create me. What, I need to hang around over here and take up space and eat and drink? I don't need this. Ella, so why am I here? Oh, l'shamesh eskaini. Okay. That's exciting. So it boils down to this. You have a choice to make. Either you're going to live and be needy because that's your existence, or you're going to live because you're needed. This is what it comes down to. You have the option to be devoted to satisfying your needs, or you're devoted to satisfying what you are needed for. Who needs you and for what? That is a much happier, much healthier attitude in life, because it is life. What I'm needed for is life. What I need is only existence. So if I could satisfy all my needs, which I can't, so I can't really satisfy my needs, but even if I could, I have accomplished nothing. I ate yesterday, I'm eating today, I'm going to eat tomorrow. And then that's it. What does it mean, I don't need? As far as I'm concerned, ani lo nivresi. When you think about it, the difference between Torah and psychology, a fundamental difference. Psychology says you have needs. And if you don't satisfy those needs, you're going to be depressed, you're going to be suppressed, you're going to be oppressed, you're going to be in trouble. So we have to dig deep and find out what you really need and what's frustrating you, and you have to fulfill that need, then you'll be healthy. What does the Torah say? The Torah says, Bal korcho chata noitzar, Bal korcho chata neilad, Bal korcho chata chai, Bal korcho chata mes. What is that? The Torah is not trying to depress you. It's not trying to tell you that you're stuck. Bal korchoch means it's not your need. You don't need to be conceived, you don't need to be born, you don't need to live, you don't need to die. You don't need anything. Psychology doesn't look deep enough. It doesn't go to the human being. It's stuck on events and things. You need more love, you need more confidence, you need more validation. No, I don't. The fact that I need validation is a burden. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? I don't need what I need. Wer hat das gebeten? So a person says, I need to eat. You need to eat. First of all, we need to stop eating. more likely. But even the need to eat, that's your need. You want this. You want to have an existence that cannot go on unless you eat every 3 hours. This is a handicap. In other words, whose idea is it that a human being should not be able to go without food, without water, and without sleep? We're handicapped. I didn't ask for this. That's what it means. Bal korchoch ato chai. You don't want to have to eat. You don't want to have to depend on people. You don't want any of this. But you have to have it because that's how you were created. So really, who needs me to eat? Not me. For some reason, the Eibishter decided that a human being should need to eat. It's his plan, not mine. I was talking to a woman who was anorexic. You know, anorexic? She was a frum girl, but had this problem, had gone to a lot of therapy, was more or less under control. It was not life-threatening, but still, it was hard for her to eat. So we sat down to talk, and she started saying, eating is so, it's distasteful. I said, I know, it's disgusting. It's animalistic, it's marbe, it's marbe worms and bichlal. And I just went on and on about how disgusting eating is. She says, you're worse than me. I said, but that's the fact. Well, I'm not making up things. It's the fact. So you have to ask yourself, why would the Eibishter do something like this to a human being? It's so humiliating. You know why they have scarecrows on the farms? Because human beings and rabbits are in competition over the same food. So if you don't scare off the rabbits, they're going to eat your food. So look what you're doing. You're competing with animals over an animal behavior. And the question is, who's going to get the food first? This is so embarrassing. I went fishing with a guide. And he says, the fish go here because in the desert. I said, wow, you outsmarted a fish. And you're proud of it. So why did the Eibishter do this to us? It's humiliating. But what are you going to do? You swallow your pride and you eat something. Her problem went away. All the time that people kept telling her, no, it's not disgusting, it's not, it is beautiful, you make a bracha, you make... Not convincing. It is disgusting. But ani asisi es atzmi. This is not my plan. So what are you going to do? The Eibishter created you like this, so don't be so arrogant. Accept the humble condition and eat something. See now, what does it mean to eat l'shem shamayim? You eat l'shem shamayim, b'shas ma'aser, while you're eating, you're thinking, I'm eating it only in order to have koyach to daven. Yeah. Keep thinking. Your mind is thinking that, and your body is eating like an animal. What does it mean, l'shem shamayim? L'shem shamayim means very simply, this is not my idea. Eating, drinking, sleep, this is not my idea. Now what am I going to do? The Eibishter wants that a human being should eat. Darf man essen. What can you do? So it's not like you can eat l'shem shamayim or not l'shem shamayim. The only way to eat is l'shem shamayim. Because it's not your plan. This is not your vision of life. This is the Eibishter's plan. So whether you're thinking it or not thinking it, in fact, you're eating l'shem shamayim. I stop a guy in the street, and I say, would you like to put on tefillin? He says, thank you very much, but I don't need this. I said, good, so let's put them on. He says, no, I really don't need this. I said, I know. If you needed it, I wouldn't talk to you about it. Because if you needed it, it would just be part of your existence. I'm trying to help you with life. Your existence, take care of yourself. So if you needed it, it would only be part of your existence. I need this, I need that. For what? To exist. Life means you are needed. The Eibishter is waiting for you to put on tefillin. You don't have 5 minutes to give the Eibishter what he needs? So we have to become good at doing things we don't need. That's called the Shem Shemayim. I'll tell you an interesting story. We have a program in Beis Chana in Minnesota. It's for women who need to catch up on their Jewish learning and Jewish practice. Women come from all over the world since 1971. So we've had 25,000 women. They come for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever time they have free. Back in the 70s, a woman came from India. Actually, she was from Brooklyn, but she was spending time in India practicing over there Buddhism. She came to the program because she had a Buddhist boyfriend who was very Buddhist. He was a fundamentalist Buddhist, a Friedman. They wanted to get married, but he had a problem. How can he marry her when he is religious and she's not? So she said, "Excuse me, but I'm not becoming a Buddhist." He said, "No, whatever you want, but frum. So if I'll be a frum Buddhist and you'll be a frum Jew, then we can get married." So she thought that was a great idea. So she came to Minnesota to become a frum Jew so that she can marry a frum Buddhist. The second day that she was there, it dawned on her that this was not a good arrangement. And I find her crying outside on the lawn. I walk over, I said, "What's the matter?" She says, "I can't marry him." I said, "What are you talking about?" So she tells me the whole story. And here's her problem. She can't marry him, there's nothing to talk about. But he's so nice, and he's so sweet, and he's so kind, how is she going to break it to him? She doesn't want to hurt him. So I thought, I can be a hero here. I said, "You want me to talk to him? He's in India." It's not about to happen. I said, "You want me to talk to him?" She said, "You'll talk nice?" I said, "Well, I'll talk nice. I have nothing against him." She said, "Okay." And I thought, good. Solved the problem. She comes back to me 40 minutes later. She says, "He'll be here. He's coming to talk to you." Anyway, after Lochas, he shows up Friday afternoon. Where am I going to put him? He came with a little knapsack. Doesn't have a penny, garnished. He ends up spending Shabbos in my house. So we're sitting Friday night, Shabbos day, and I'm trying to show him how different Yiddishkeit is from Lahavdil. Right? And he doesn't understand. There's one God, there's one creator, it's all the same. What's the difference? So I tried to come up with things that we do that would shock him. So I said, Erev Yom Kippur, we swing a chicken over our heads. He says, "Wow, really?" He loved it. Anything I came up with, like, ooh, I'm not getting anywhere. It's already Friday afternoon, Shabbos afternoon, and he still doesn't understand. It's all the same. Spiritual is spiritual. Finally, around Sholish Shudas time, he says, "So I don't understand. You have your holy men, we have our holy men. What's the problem?" So I said, That's really interesting. You have holy men, and we have holy men, and yet every morning when my holy man gets up, God waits for him to put on tefillin. But when your holy man gets up, God is not asking him to put on tefillin. He says, oh, I guess it won't work. And he went back to India. So what finally convinced him that it's not a shidduch? What we are needed for. You do this, we do this. Come on, it's all the same. But when it came down to, wait a minute, the Eibishter doesn't need your holy man to put on tefillin. That was. So what are we needed for? That's really the question. So now, out of Rosh Hashanah, we have to come with an attitude, not I'm going to daven a whole day, Rosh Hashanah, and I'm going to hear the shofar, and I'm going to ask the Eibishter to give me what I need. That's not the way we're supposed to be thinking. What is Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah, the Eibishter says, Tamlichuni aleichem. I'm telling you what I need from you. Coronate me as your king. So what do we do on Rosh Hashanah? Think about how needy we are. Chas v'shalom. We think about what we are needed for. That's life. Zochreinu l'chayim, not l'kiyum. Kasveinu b'sefer hachayim. What is chayim? What I'm needed for. So last year, I have regrets. I spent so much time thinking about what I needed. This year, I make a hachlata. This year, I'm available to you. I'm here to serve you. I will not waste my time on what I need, but I am going to be completely devoted to what I am needed for. And that's the meaning of hineni. Hineni means you have something for me to do. That's good news because I have nothing to do. I was born against my will. I live against my will. I don't need any of this. So if you have a purpose for me, I would love to hear it. And then that will become my entire devotion. That will become my entire purpose. Now I'm going to be fully alive. The pasuk says, Dirshu es Hashem b'himotzei, karuhu b'yesei koriv. When is he b'himotzei? When is he koriv? When is God close that we can call on him? The month of Elul. The Alter Rebbe explained in very graphic example, what does it mean he's close? The Eibishter is Melech Malchei Hamlochim. You can't get to a king anytime you want. But in the month of Elul, the king comes out to the field, Melech Basode, and he becomes available. You can go over, you can approach him. You don't have to be wearing special clothes. You're in the middle of your workday. You're out in the field working. And yet, he's available. That's the meaning that in the month of Elul, the Eibishter is Korev. He's closer, he's available. There was a teacher in Minneapolis, a real talented teacher, and he wanted to explain Elul to his Talmidim. He takes out his cell phone and he calls the White House. He called the White House and he said, I'd like to talk to the president. And of course, they gave him a whole list of requirements. You can only do it under these conditions, only this time. First tell me what you want. I'll pass it on. He says, you see, But when the king comes out into the field, he makes himself available to everybody, and now you can approach him. So then the question is like this. What is the Rosh Tevis of Elul? Ani l'Deidi v'Deidi li, which is different than the month of Tishrei, where Deidi li v'Ani loi. I'm sorry, not Tishrei, Nisan. In the month of Nisan, it's Deidi li v'Ani loi. The month of Tishrei and the Hachana in Elul is Ani l'Deidi and then Deidi li. What is the difference? Pesach, we were in Mem Tes Shari Tuma. We were the lowest level of unholiness. But he came, lo yedei malach, v'lo yedei sarah, v'lo yedei shliach. He, b'chveidei v'atzmei, came to take us out of Mitzrayim. So that was Deidi li. He came to us, and then we followed him, lechtech acharei b'midbar. But in the month of Tishrei, God says, you want me to be your king? Coronate me. It's your move. So it has to be Ani l'Deidi. I reach out to Hashem, and then he responds and becomes my king. So the question now is this. If the king is coming out to the field, then he's initiating. Then how is it Ani l'Deidi? It sounds like Deidi li. Chassidus explains, the king comes out to the field because he knows that the people in the field want to come to the palace, but they're afraid. They don't feel qualified. They don't feel entitled. So they would love to come to the palace, but look how I'm dressed. Look how I spend my days. I work in the fields. What business do I have going to the palace? But knowing that the Jew wants, knowing that he wishes he could, that makes the king come out to the field. So who's starting the relationship? Ani l'Deidi. And that's why he comes out to the field. When we choose life rather than existence, everything works. And that's what Shabbos means. What melacha are you not allowed to do on Shabbos? Melechas machshavas. If you're doing a useless task all day long, that's not Machalol Shabbos. But you do a tiny little act that is constructive and productive, that's tarmanished. What is the meaning? Sheishes yomim ta'avid. 6 days of the week, make your existence better. Work on your existence. Make yourself comfortable, make yourself secure, make yourself rich. But every 7th day, stop with the existence. Luz up. Whatever you have is fine, you don't have is also fine. Your existence is okay. Kol melachtecha asuya. You're done with your existence. Today, think only about what you are needed for. Today, devote to life, not to existing. And that's what it means when we say l'chaim. When we say l'chaim, we don't mean I don't want to die. You're not dying from a drink. You say l'chaim, it means the Eibishter told us ubecharta b'chaim, meaning make life more important than your existence. So now I'm saying l'chaim, I'm saying I would rather have a life than an existence. When do you say l'chaim? When you're excited about life. there's a chasana, there's a simcha, a yom tif. You're excited about life, you say l'chaim. La's up with the existence. But if you're not excited about life, and you drink because you're unhappy, that's a disaster. Then you're just destroying yourself. So we should all have a ksiva v'chasima tova. L'chaim, Sefer HaChaim, L'man Cholikim Chaim, the theme for a Jew, even when it's not Shabbos. Our whole history is that we understand being needed rather than being needy. When it comes this month, and when it comes Erev Rosh Hashanah, the emphasis is even stronger and clearer. Don't ask for what you need. Ask for what you're needed. That's how you start a new year. What you need, you can ask any time. And the Eibusher should give us what we need. And our existence should be wonderful. But we shouldn't be proud of it. We should be proud of our lives. L'chaim. By the way, that's what it means. Am Yisrael. That's it. That describes Am Yisrael. Yes, because everybody wants Kiyum. But Am Yisrael, not Kiyum, Chai.
Shem Yegenshir Ter Meises Boston at Gilbiga Shekirch, Rabbi Friedman, inspiring Joshua, at Gilbiga Shekirch, Rabbi Chaim Meisels, sponsoring tonight Sheli Nishmas Oviv, Rabbi Yaakov Aryeh, Ber Mordechai Tzvi Alevi, Rabbi Shalom Zesed tonight. Rabbi Say, you can keep the Chai and the Kiyum by sponsoring a shir and by putting an ad in the journal for Yegenshir Ter's dinner next week to help Yegenshir Ter continue bringing these inspiring shiurim to the community and to Yidden worldwide throughout the year. Call Yegenshir Ter 718-851-8651 or email tapecenter@yeshivanet.com to have this great schus or make use of one of the ad blanks that are throughout the shul. There is CDs and some material from Rav Friedman on the back table. Shkoch to everyone for coming. CDs of tonight's show will be available shortly. Reb Chananya ben Akashem, Rotzach Edish Baruch Hu L'Zakeh, says Yisrael, Lefig Hebron T'ayim Mitzvah Shenem Al Anoich Chofetz L'man Tzidka Yagdol Torah V'Yadeh. Amen.